Hey, I'm Brian Cohn of B Cohn Knives. In this video, I'll be working on my take of a sax knife. Now, this won't be a totally traditional version of a sax, but I think that this will turn out really cool. Let's get into it. So for those of you who don't know what a sax is, it's a knife that the Vikings used to wage war with. So it's a really rugged, terrifying looking knife. Now, mine isn't going to be historically accurate, but let's go ahead and talk about the materials I'm gonna be making it out of. Per usual, I'll be using Alabama Damascus steel. This is his raindrop Damascus. I know that this is gonna be a really pretty knife because this is a gorgeous design. I'll be using carbon fiber handles with red G10 liners that I've already glued on. And for the pin, we'll be using the stainless steel. Now together, I know that this will be a really cool modern take on a sax knife. I've already got the general shape cut out on the bandsaw, so we can jump right onto the Broadbeck grinder. Now I've did a review video on the Broadbeck 2x72, so if you wanna see that, check it out in the description down below. So I've only done a couple stamps on knives before, and I've definitely underhit that one, so you can see the bottom of all of those letters of the B cone. I just really need to learn to make sure to hit it square and set it up a little bit better. Sadly, I can't double stamp it because then there's no real good way to set it up absolutely perfect. So this is just gonna be the way it is. So this stamp isn't ideal, and that's definitely something I'm gonna need to work on, but that's what makes handmade knives special. You know, each one's gonna have little imperfections like that, but I'll definitely learn from this one. Now it just needs a little. I'm so freaking. I just don't know, man. It totally took that same fucking warp. Piece of shit. Actually, that needs to cool down. That tip is too hot. It needs to all pretty much be the same dull red. Honestly, when it really takes a warp, when I put it in there, you could tell because it goes from really hard or really easy to clamp down to a little bit harder, like you're compressing a spring. And I didn't feel it at all. So there is half a chance that it just came out square.
That'd be a beer-worthy achievement.
Yeah, that would be totally like, I'm celebrating. So I'm really worried about this knife warping because the billet that I made it out of had an ever so slight warp in it. So I was trying to hammer it out on this anvil and try to make it nice and straight before my heat treat. But every time you do that, every time you hammer on one side, something else bends a little bit. So I don't know. I'm really hoping it came out straight, but you won't know until I take it out of there, and I've got to wait a couple minutes before I do that, so cross your fingers. Well, here goes nothing. Yeah, it's got a little warp in it. It totally took a warp. Maybe, I'm really hoping I can fix this warp with a shim temper, but there's a very good chance that this knife is absolutely trash now. So I guess nothing I can do but try to shim temper it. So to do a shim temper, all I'm doing is using a big, thick, flat piece of steel and putting my knife up next to it so you can see that you can see some daylight when I'm holding it flat on the center. That means that this knife is warped. So the idea is that I put the knife on the opposite side and put a little shim on it to overcorrect that problem the other way, so that when I clamp this all down, the knife will be bent in the opposite direction ever so slightly, so that when it anneals, hopefully, if you cross your fingers and the knife gods smile on you, it'll anneal back straight. Hopefully, I mean, what else can I do? So as you can see, I have it overcorrected in the opposite direction. So when I put it in the oven at 420 degrees for 2 hours, hopefully it'll correct that warp. And if it doesn't, I can put it in for another annealing cycle. Honestly, at this point, I just have to cross my fingers and hope that this shim temper works. If this shim temper does not work, I will have to start again from scratch. I cannot let a warped knife go out of my shop. My customer deserves better than that. The knife gods answered my prayers! I was like 95% sure that that wasn't gonna work. I've only done a couple shim tempers, and I've never had a success like this one. If shim tempering is something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments down below and maybe I'll make a video on it. Well, let's get back in the build. Do I need a face shield for this one? No. Would my mom like it if I had the face shield on? Yeah. It looks like I blew the breaker out here. I've never had that happen before. Normally what I do at this point is grind the flat so I have one even Damascus look all the way across the blade. But I kind of like the way that this looks with this rugged texture on the back of the blade. It kind of ties in with that Viking feel. So I'm gonna contact the customer and see what he thinks, and maybe we'll just leave it like this. All right, so we're back in the shop today working on the Seax knife. I just love the way this thing's turning out. It looks absolutely mean. Where we left off, I was working on the front edge of this handle material. The next step, I'm going to clamp this thing together, drill the pinholes, and glue it on up. Let's get going. The Paparoonski!
Hey, hi.
Hello. Hi. Oh, Puddin' Pop.
She had whipped cream on the driveway.
Oh.
Stuck a little face in the coffin. It's like you're gonna chop it off.
Oh, okay. You're right on that one. Oh, hi, Puds. Hi, Puds. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Oh, thank you.
Can you say something about how we have a breaker timeout? Oh my god!
You always gotta have a puppy break.
Puppy break!
That was taking too long.
One of the issues I've had in the past is I've actually had my scales pop off and the epoxy let go. So one thing that I've learned is that you should rough up all of your surfaces with 36 grit so that the epoxy has more to hold on to, so that'll never be a problem in the future. We're back in the shop working on the Seax knife. So all I have left is to grind up the handle, make that nice and pretty, and put a nice sharp edge on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the clamps and get to work. Thank you all for watching. I am so excited of how this thing turned out. It is so much more pretty than I ever expected. Ross, I know you're gonna love your knife and I can't wait to get it in your hands. If you all like this video, like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day.